All right. I have pulled myself away from Zelda long enough to do nothing online for a few hours. It'll be a fun time. Maybe. I can't promise that. But I'll be here. Oh, God. This is my life. Me throw out a tweet that nobody will see. We are 3 subs away from 400 on YouTube after like 4 years of nightly streaming. It's amazing. Gonna win a record for the slowest growing channel ever. It'll be great. We're going to be watching the troubled and dangerous history of Super Death Speed Roller Coaster de Dodonpa. I think that's how you say it. Still sending this out, and then I'll switch over the scene. Shirley Curry is not being the Skyrim grandma anymore. Sad times. Oh shit. I was thinking about her the other day. Okay. Well, that's sad. She says that it's gotten boring after 9 years. Shit, I get bored with games after like 9 minutes. Okay. So this is by Expedition Theme Park. Go ahead and throw this in the chat just to have it there, I suppose. My messages are open. Oh, Ryan, come here. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing weird stuff. Here, let me change this. Super Death, Speed, Roller Coaster. Oh, that's all the space I have for it. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna throw this in the chat. Fun stuff. Woo. Okay, what do we got? Let's go. 2:30 in the morning. Everyone's super excited, right? Come on.
For us theme
Dodonpa.
it's hard to ride everything you want. With so much around the world offering incredible experiences, world's first, biggest, fastest, and newest around every corner, sometimes these experiences close forever before we get a chance to ride them.
That's a
In
sad
Japan,
thing.
one troubled roller coaster offered a launch like no other attraction on the planet, the fastest acceleration on a roller coaster in the world.
I think I know what this one is. Maybe. This one, there's a ridiculously long coaster in Japan. Japan has like the best fucking roller coasters.
A bucket list coaster for many that began with so much promise and ended abruptly when their Super Death Speed roller coaster began breaking more than just records. This coaster began
Next.
breaking riders' bones.
Yeah. I think I know what this one is. Maybe. Yeah, this is like a ridiculous coaster. This coaster is insane. Orion, what are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Here. There you go. You want to go on that roller coaster? No?
In
You wanna go on that coaster?
1961, the Fuji Kyoko Line Highland Station opened in the foothills of Mount Fuji. With more and more people visiting, the new Fuji Five Lakes International Skating Center saw huge popularity at its large skating rink.
It's been like 20 years since
Success
I've gone
began to
ice skating.
expand, and in 1964, an amusement park was added, Fujirama Park. This new park began looking for ways they could stand out, opening the Giant Coaster in 1966, the world's longest roller coaster, at 4,698 feet. This was confirmed by the Guinness Book of Records, and would start a tradition of records that the
You
park
don't
would
want-
hold over the years. The Giant Coaster was a giant success, and the park would continue to expand. In 1969, the name of the park would change to Fuji Q Highland. The small amusement park.
I'd love to see Mount Fuji in real life.
After a Mad Mouse was added, came in 1980, the Double Loop. This was followed by Moonsault Scramble in 1983, a shuttle coaster holding the world record for height. Though this was disputed at the time, this unique attraction was incredibly intense, reaching
looks
up to
insane.
6.5 Gs in its inversions. The Guinness Book of
Damn.
World Records listed the height of the roller coaster as 246 feet.
6.5
Though some consider
Gs?
this invalid, as the trains do not reach the top of the tower where the record was measured. The height was actually closer to 229 feet, but even in the 80s, the debate began whether shuttle coasters count as the tallest or not. The whole following decade would have this issue, with Superman and Tower of Terror being much taller than any full-circuit coaster. For argument's sake, let's go with Moonsault Scramble was the tallest shuttle coaster in the world and over 70 feet taller than any other shuttle coaster. The tallest full-circuit in 1983 would be around
That looks really cool.
131 feet tall. Now, don't get me started on the big one measuring and promoting its height from sea level. The great roller coaster stats debate would span decades. With the big... Wait, what was I supposed to be talking about again? Oh yeah, sorry, I got scrambled. In 1996, the park
Dude,
would
look
take
at
the
that.
full-circuit height record without issue, opening the king of coasters, Fujiyama.
That shit looks so cool. That's funny. Ooh. I like the
Listed in the
The-
Guinness World Records at
the organ.
259 feet tall and taking the records for drop and speeds also. The park since opening had been rapidly adding attractions and was now becoming incredibly popular, known around the world by coaster enthusiasts. In the mid-90s, a type of ride became incredibly popular around the world. Intamin had been perfecting their drop towers to offer a thrilling experience in a small space.
Okay, this is actually something you'd think I would know, but I don't. Human body can withstand up to 10 Gs for a brief period of time. Most roller coasters are designed to keep riders below, say, force thresholds. The thing is, yeah, 4G. Okay, 4 Gs is considered a safe limit for sustained force. Riders at this threshold often begin to experience what is known as a gray out. Yeah, and that's because the Titan here in Six Flags is like, I think 4.5 Gs, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It may be 3.5, but okay, 6.5 though. Fuck, that is a lot. That's a lot of force.
Sports Tower from Logan, Utah, a company founded by Stan Checkett that sold bungee jump equipment, had the idea of a tower for sports activities, which had proved incredibly popular. Within just a few years, they had sold dozens of the towers all over the United States, later becoming the largest supplier of bungee jumping equipment in the world. While they had never had an accident, other companies more
I have kinda
reckless
shitty
offering
connection right
had made
now.
people fear the sport, and more regulations were being introduced, making business tougher. They would have to look for a new way to excite people in 1994. Originally, they were looking at ways to create an attraction using bungee cords.
I don't know
but they
why that
began
is.
thinking of ways they could create that sensation using air. 50% ownership of a new company, S&S Power, built a prototype in Utah and called the new attraction the Space Shot. The only ride in the world that sent passengers speeding up a drop tower, offering a thrill of heights, freefall, and an accelerated launch. Once riders sat
Is
down,
that-
the right amount of air pressure needed to launch was put into the cylinders located inside the steel tower. The car is lifted slightly and weighed before the air is released from the cylinders.
Is that the
into
thing
a
that
central
that guy
large
died
fin,
on that
pushing a
like got
piston connected to steel cables
slipped out on?
launched the vehicle with incredible acceleration. As the air
I don't
escapes
know.
from the
I think that's
through a
something
release
else.
valve, the vehicle lowers, giving the free fall back down. Nothing like it had really existed before, and it would become insanely popular after the first went to Mexico and the Wisconsin Dells. Parks began
We have
hands on
the
one
Superman.
themselves.
That's what
As
our
S&S continued
version
to
of that
refine
is.
and make new versions of the attraction, including the Turbo Drop,
Tower of
where the ride
Power,
would
I
slowly
think.
make its way to the top before being dropped, and gradually stopped using air. The prototype of the Turbo Drop would be installed at Buffalo Bill's Casino in Primm, Nevada. Fuji Q Highland didn't have a lot of space to expand, as it was located between the train tracks and a major road. The addition of a ride like this would be perfect, as they took up a very small footprint within the park but offered a large amount of thrills.
Is that like...
They installed a Turbo Drop.
There's a ride I've never ridden called the
Red Tower.
It's called the Tsunami, right?
170 feet tall, opened
And it
in
was
July 1998.
flipped you.
After a
It
successful
wasn't a coaster,
installation,
it's a flat
Hoop began
ride.
to move towards the park's next major
I'd ride it
attraction.
now.
As the park began to run out of space for large rides, Moonsault Scramble and the ice skating rink were removed from the park in 2000. S&S had a new idea, taking the compressed air launch system of the drop towers and using it to create a roller coaster, the Thrust Air 2000.
Hell yeah.
The prototype would use a catch car system on steel cables, attached to the same kind of pistons inside a cylinder to launch a weighted car forward down the track and through the circuit, launching to 80 miles per hour in just 1.8 seconds.
That's pretty fucking
Essentially,
quick.
a drop tower on its side with a full track. This brand new kind of launch roller coaster was considered a marvel, the most energy efficient of the current coaster launches, and the potential for what would follow was incredibly exciting, with numbers like over 300 feet tall and launches over 100 miles per hour being thrown around. Rumors were abound to where the first version
Looks like
of
a
the
giant
attraction
dick.
would end up, with many eyes looking to Paramount's Great America. That exact prototype would end up at King's Dominion, and its troubles? Well, we have already talked about those. That very same year, a second version was created. Not a prototype, but a brand new custom roller coaster that will be making its way to Fuji Q Highlands. Just like with
That is a
Hypersonic XL3,
very
its
long
creation
coaster.
wasn't smooth. Originally set to open in July 2001, it had to be delayed due to problems with the launch, mostly getting the ride up to the required speed, and problems with the steel cables which provided the launch rubbing against each other.
Yeah.
It took months to try and learn and fix the issues that the coaster was having. The ride used essentially the same system of the drop towers to launch the vehicles, with 4 huge air compressor cylinders. Eventually, most of the issues were worked out, and they were able to open.
Most.
On December 21st,
You never want to hear that.
costing $3 billion.
Like, if you get on a coaster or something, you're like, yeah, we got most of the issues worked out. You'll be fine. That's not something anyone wants to hear.
Yen, around $24 million at the time, Fuji Q Highland would get its newest record-breaking roller coaster that would launch riders from a standing start to 107 miles per hour in just 1.8 seconds.
That is so fucking
The
fast.
fastest accelerating and the fastest roller coaster at all in the world, taking the record from Six Flags Magic Mountain.
God, look at that view. Mount Fuji in the background. That is insane. That is beautiful. What a great just location of a roller or of a theme park.
After opening, the number of riders per day had to be limited as they continued to tweak and improve the ride's launch system. This led to incredibly long wait times to experience the attraction, often reaching over 3 hours. Many ride
Worth it.
vehicles did not make it over the ride's hill or back to the station. With persistence, S&S were able to fix most of the issues though, and eventually capacity did become
You don't let
better. The ride
bigger
will
people
be
on it.
called
Don't let people
Dodonpa,
from America on it.
which the park said was taken from the sound the ride made on its launch. It was also the name of a Japanese musical genre that was popular in the 1960s, that was modified originally from the cha-cha-cha. It was named for the way its offbeat rhythm
Dodonpa.
sounds to the ears, with one 60s newspaper explaining that to do the Dodonpa
So, did this guy mistype this? Because this is Dodonpa. And this is Dodonpa. Do the Dodonpa. Okay, I don't. My brain is too small to understand. I don't know if this is a typo or not.
mixes a bit of rock and roll with a mambo and cha-cha, and throws in an extra beat. The newspaper states that on the extra beat, dancers twist, drop one hip and a shoulder, and seemingly try to throw their necks out of joint. That a dance floor of Dodonpa dancers is an almost frightening display of what the young body could do. The 60s really
Hell
were a
yeah.
different time. Within the queue, the words Dodonpa was repeated in a chant over and over, getting faster as you got closer to the station. This was changed in 2007, as many said it drove them crazy hearing it over and over and was like a brainwashing chant. After the queue, you would enter the train seating 8 people, which made them lighter and easier to launch. These
Sure.
trains would use rubber
Yeah.
tires that were similar to aircraft tires. Originally, the vehicles were themed
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, take off a car on the train. You get a lot less weight
to
there.
the
Yeah.
Dodonpa family and had faces of the father, mother, sister, and baby on the front, designed by Yuriko Shigetti. These were later changed in 2007 to have patterns of polka dots, leopards, zebras, and snakes. After boarding the train, you entered a tunnel and the launch countdown began, sometimes timed correctly, others launching before or after the countdown ended. In just 1.8 seconds, you would fly out of the tunnel in a launch
is
that would
so
make you feel
quick.
like you were being hit, reaching 3
Yeah, no shit.
down the straight into a 74-degree bank turn, taken at 74 miles per hour. The highest G-force section followed as you dipped into the vertical climb at 4.25 Gs. After reaching the top of the 172-foot hill, you dropped 90 degrees and headed back to the station.
Do they have, like, I mean, I should know this, but I know, like, Japan, their rail systems have, like, maglev trains. Has nobody ever, like, done a maglev rail system for a roller coaster? Would that just, like, not work with the speed? Well, yeah, I don't know enough about maglev trains, like monorails and stuff, to know about that. You'd think somebody would have tried it now, because those trains can go really fucking quick.
With a track length of 3,924 feet, it was nearly double that of the prototype in America and was essentially a bigger, faster version of it.
That's a big
The air
coaster.
pressure adjusted based on weight for the launch. Over the early years, the launch pressure for the ride was not always exactly accurate. Sometimes you could fly over the tower at speeds with incredible G-forces, hurting your thighs and getting huge airtime as you went over. Others, it felt like you were barely going to make it. After the incredible launch,
That's the fun of
many
it.
complained
That's
that
a
the
feature,
remainder
not
of
a
the
bug.
ride was rough and bouncy, with its rubber tires, and was often not worth the incredibly long wait time. That launch, however, was unrivaled anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
It was incredibly forceful, fast, and unique, and was not even running
sounds like
at full
fun.
power, as it was deemed that it could be harmful to the human body. Dodonpa operated successfully over many years, with some minor tweaks along the way. In 2013, S&S attempted to create an even more forceful
They, like,
launch
put in
for
a
Ring Racer.
loop.
Again, it didn't go well.
They tried to put in a
Faster
loop
could
at some point.
But nothing could match the launch of Dodonpa, and it
Yeah.
became legendary. By June 22nd, 2015, over 7 million riders had experienced the launch of Dodonpa.
Yeah. That's fucking terrifying. What the fuck?
ドドドンパ絶叫学割富士急ハイランド
On October 2nd, 2016, Dodonpa would close for refurbishment. Little was known about what would come in the change, with many hoping the launch would not be changed.
Yeah, they
On July 15,
got the loop, yeah.
2017, the new version, now called Dodonpa, was
Dod-
opened with an improved
there it is.
and even faster launch, and the vertical
There you go.
tower replaced by a large vertical loop. The The updated version increased the launch speed from 0 to 111 miles per hour in
Well, that's
1.8
112,
seconds,
but,
and
you know.
featured a 160-foot tall loop, making the track length a little longer at 4,081 feet. Much of the ride remained mostly the same. The trains were updated with new designs, some small modifications to restraints, and a new tunnel. But the new loop will be billed as the world's largest. Don't worry about those ones in China. Six Flags also claimed Full Throttle had a taller loop, but they were measuring it from above ground level at the lowest part of the ride. Yep, here we go again. Either
Yeah,
way,
you can't do
don't
that.
worry.
The loop should be measured from the flat area in which you enter the loop to the top of the loop.
It was a big loop. After reopening, the launch still remained incredible, but the rest of the ride was still bouncy and rough. Many actually preferred the top hat. It was still an intense start, and since opening day, it was still the launch that made the ride. While it had been possible to increase the launch speed without any modifications, it was worried that it would hurt going over the vertical hill.
Yeah, they said that, right? Like, they could have made it go a lot faster, but, you know, bones break, essentially. And I think we're going to see some of that.
And if you got one of those early launches when it sometimes could fire faster, it was known that the intense airtime at the top could be painful. Some riders even got to experience it with launches up to 124 miles per hour
Jesus.
during the original testing. The day after the reopening, a train with riders was unable to make it over the loop and rolled back, which was caused by a flat tire. And
It's
the
called
ride eventually
valleying.
reopened 2 days later. 3 years later, things were about to get way worse. From December 2020 through August 2021, riders have begun reporting of pain from riding the ride,
Sure.
with multiple passengers reporting these injuries after riding the attraction. 9 suffered fractured or broken bones from the attraction in their spine or neck. While
Drink more
initially
milk.
the park stated it wasn't the ride, it was the passengers, many reports forced them to report it, and the attraction was closed for investigation in August of 2021. Media coverage of the incident around the world was huge. If you hadn't heard of Dodonpa before the incident, you certainly would now. It was deemed by every major outlet the super death speed roller coaster. The super
Hell
death speed
yeah.
roller coaster is shut down because
That probably boosted their, like, tourist attraction so much. Who doesn't want to go and see a super death speed roller coaster?
riders keep breaking their bones. Super Death Acceleration roller coaster shut down for literally breaking riders' bones. It goes on and on and on. Anyway, the Super Death Speed roller coaster, Dodonpa was breaking people's bones, and many outlets focused on the speed of the attraction, with one saying, "It can only be a result of the super death speed because the Fuji-Q Highland confirmed there were no technical issues found in the initial investigation." Nobody seemed to know what the issue really was. Others said it wasn't the ride, it must be the way people were sitting, and that can only be the fault of ride employees not checking. Others commented on how Japanese coaster riders like to sit in a brick
I'd ride it.
position on attractions.
Immediately.
It seems odd, though, that this would be the reason when the ride had operated successfully without major injuries for years and years. What could have been the cause was not launch related at all, and perhaps due to the transitions between the section of the ride with the old track and new, where the loop was added. As it was reported, this was quite a rough area. That reason, though, would not be confirmed after the conclusion of the investigation, and the real reason remains unknown.
That's
Dodonpa sat
dissatisfying.
standing but not
This is, like, fairly recent, too. I have heard of this coaster before. This was, what, in March of this year? I haven't seen anything this recent about it. Interesting.
operating after the closure until March 13th, 2024. Fuji-Q Highlands finally confirmed that the attraction was closed permanently.
That's
They said that although
dumb.
they had many discussions with the manufacturer, they had come to the conclusion that it's difficult to make a reopening a reality, and in order to fulfill our social responsibility as a company that puts safety first, they had decided to close down operations. With the coaster closing, the park would record a 612 million yen, $4.1 million loss in the fiscal year, ending in March
I imagine, yeah.
2024, which included demolition and removal costs. 9.3 million people had ridden Dodonpa in both its iterations since it opened in December 2001 until its closure in August 2021. What will replace it is currently unknown.
Dodonpa. Oh wait. We're not over yet.
With the confirmed closure, the fastest acceleration record on a roller coaster now reverts to the second fastest operational ride. Just as tradition for roller coaster enthusiasts, all the way back to the 80s and before, it was now time to debunk and debate, and, of course, argue about roller coaster statistics once again. To actually find out what the now fastest acceleration on a roller coaster is, in any discussion of roller coaster records, you have to apply certain rules.
Sure.
Rule number 1, ignore anything in China because you know who really knows what's going on there. It probably is
Nothing.
there, but it doesn't matter. Number 2, find the 2 attractions
He's
that it could
right.
be. Rule out any others that are obviously questionable, like ones with rolling launches. No, this is about a launch from standstill. Get out of here, Hansa Park. So that leaves our 2 contenders, which are Max Force, located at Six Flags Great America in Illinois. This 2019 S&S Air Launch coaster goes from 0 to 78 miles per hour in 1.8
Lame.
seconds. Though, definitely not that trustworthy in my opinion, since you know they promoted before record-breaking loop heights from ground level measured from somewhere else on the track. Very
Yeah.
fishy if you ask me. Next, we have Stauf at Fort Park in England. Wait, are you sure? Oh, alright, okay. Yeah, Stauf at Fort Park in England. Opened in 2006, this Intamin coaster goes 0 to 80 miles per hour in just 2.5 seconds. Oh, wait.
Lame.
They changed it because it kept rolling back. And now they say it goes 0 to 80 in 1.8 seconds. They even updated the sign this year
good for them.
after years of it being wrong. So I guess it has to be true if it is on a sign. Even though everywhere else previously believed it to be 1.9 seconds. But don't worry about that. So Stauf, the shorter version of nearly every Intamin accelerator coaster models out there, is clearly the winner currently of the fastest acceleration of a roller coaster anywhere in the world.
That one looks much smaller than the one that like everyone knows, and I forgot it. I don't know why I can't think of it. But I think that one, the one that I'm thinking of, is the tallest coaster, and it looks insane, and I want to ride it.
That I have been on. And these are the reasons why I've come to that conclusion. Number 1, I have been on it, and yeah, I guess it feels pretty fast. 2, because
Yeah, I
some
guess.
people think Rita is better, and I just want to state my allegiance to Team Stauf. 3, Max Force has one too many X's in the name, and I've never been on it. And 4, I grew up going to Fort Park, and they have a big new sign stating it's true, so who can argue with that?
Sure.
Signs are 100% Merlin's strong point.
Yeah.
Without one clear, faster launch, however, the real answer,
And-
just like the
And it's on the internet. He's telling me, and this guy's on the internet, therefore it must be true, because you can't post anything that's false on the internet.
speed of any roller coaster, is that so many factors differentiate it. Wind, weight, you name it. And they are likely so close, it probably varies just by day. Someone on Reddit analyzed the POVs and said it was Max Force, so you know, you could believe that guy. But Fort Park have a big sign, so I'm gonna go with the sign. In reality,
That's a
though,
good way
even
of
though I am
doing it.
Team Stauf, it doesn't really matter, and it's kind of a shame that these are
Yeah.
the top 2 contenders. And I hope something does come that once again has a launch that feels so intense and special as Dodonpa did. A ride that I sadly never got to experience.
Me neither,
but I
buddy.
have been on Stauf, and of course, its launch is fun. It is not the life-changing, out-of-this-world experience that many report the launch on Dodonpa was. A launch so powerful that it felt like you were hit by a ton of bricks. And who wouldn't want to experience that? I always hoped I would
mean,
get
yeah,
to experience
true.
that launch from the moment I heard about it. There are some roller coasters, rides, or attractions that I grew up dreaming of experiencing one day, and Dodonpa was one of them.
Yeah.
When they announced the closure of the attraction permanently, I couldn't help but feel a little sad that I personally never got to go there and experience it, and now never will. A ride that I had heard
That's sad
about
times.
so many times. We all have those bucket list rides around the world we want, hope, and even plan to experience one day. Ones we have priced out trips to visit but never went, or been near on just the wrong day to experience, and then they close forever before we got the chance to go on them.
It's
or
sad.
even just the ones you think, I will do that next time, and you never do. While I would now never get to ride Dodonpa and experience its launch, I don't want to miss that chance to ride those other attractions that still do exist, because who knows how long until those bucket list attractions are also gone forever. If you
That
have
one
an
you
attraction
just
like that for
go
you,
off the
then I hope
rails.
you get to ride it before it closes forever, and if you do get the chance, make sure you take it and ride it when you can.
God, I would love to go there. Dodonpa. It is no longer there. Sad times were had by all. Let's see, what else do we got? I've watched a shitload of the Son of Beast coasters. I'm not gonna watch another one. The next generation of Juno synthesizers. Ooh. Let's see. It's a bunch of bullshit on here. What's Theme Park Crazy been up to lately? The most bizarre theme park ever from Foreigner Street. This came out 5 days ago. I have not seen it yet. Interesting. This ought to be fun.
Hey everyone, it's Peter from Theme Park Crazy, and if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I love to talk about strange and obscure attractions. Now these can include roller coasters, dark rides, water slides, really anything that has to do with theme parks and amusement parks. That said, I've never really talked about a strange theme park, like where the whole theme park is just unusual. But today, I want to talk about a theme park that I've been doing some research on. And this place is extremely obscure, and yeah, I found a few articles on websites like CNN, but I haven't really seen anyone discuss it, like give it a full video before. Now admittedly, there's only so much information available about this park. Chinese amusement parks and Chinese theme parks can be pretty hard to research.
Yeah.
But I do know enough about it to make a short little video about it, and I think you'll find it very interesting, maybe even shocking. This park is certainly going to leave you asking a lot of questions, but before we get started, here's another question. Have you ever had a hard time finding a good tasting cereal that has high quality ingredients as an adult? I agree, that can be pretty hard, especially when I'm trying to reduce my sugar intake. Fortunately, this video's sponsor Magic Spoon has the perfect solution.
Don't
Magic
ever
Spoon
buy
is a cereal that seems almost too good to be true, but it is true, and you can get a delicious cereal with more protein and less sugar. Magic.
Yeah, and you know what? Their boxes are literally half the size of regular boxes of cereal, and they cost $10 a piece. No fucking way.
Spoon has 12 to 14 grams of protein, as well as
I ain't paying $10 for half a box of cereal.
in each serving, so you can feel good about what you're eating. And here are just some of the amazing flavors you could get.
Because they're 7 ounces, and you can get like a 15-ounce box for like $4. These are 10.
Nutty peanut butter, sweet.
If you got the money, I guess.
Cocoa, funtastic fruity, nostalgic birthday cake, and delicious cinnamon roll. And I have to say, my favorite flavor has to be maple waffle right here. It really brings me back to those good old days as a kid, on the couch watching cartoons, enjoying cereal. All of those nostalgic tastes you remember with
Dude, I did that like
ingredients.
3 days
Magic
ago.
Spoon offers more than just cereal. You can get these scrumptious cereal treats as well. There's fan favorites marshmallow and chocolate peanut butter, and 2 new flavors, blueberry muffin and double chocolate.
It's too
These
much
bars
chocolate.
have 11 to
Not a
12
big
grams of
chocolate guy.
protein,
I like
1 gram
chocolate,
of
but
sugar, and
it's too
1 to
much.
2 grams of net carbs, so you can always get the fuel you need on the go. Head to the link in the description or use my promo code CRAZY and you'll get $5 off your order of Magic Spoon cereal or Magic Spoon treats. Or you could find it at your nearest grocery store. Magic Spoon is so confident that you'll love their product.
They're actually in grocery stores now?
100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like
I did not know
it for
that.
any reason, they'll refund your money with no questions asked. So if you're looking for a blast to the past with high quality ingredients, head to my link in the
That are
description and pick up a box. of
Effectively 4 times as
Now, this
expensive.
park started back in 2006
Then, yeah.
in the municipality of Chongshin. Now this area includes a major city and it can be found in western China. As of today, Chongshin actually has over
Damn.
31 million people. That's more than the entire population of Texas. Back
Hey!
then, the population
We're fatter here, though, so we have more people mass than them. I promise you that.
also included a growing group of foreign citizens who moved to China and set up shop in Chongshin. So with this growing group, a plan was thought up to create kind of like a shopping district in Chongshin with authentic goods, cuisine, and entertainment from all over the world. However, according to an article I saw on CNN, this plan kind of got a little mixed up during the development process, and apparently there was a fallout between the investors and the workers. So what they ended up doing was making a really tacky international themed amusement park.
Oh my god.
Sure, there were restaurants owned by international citizens. There was an Italian coffee shop, an Indian food store, and a British tea shop. But for the most part, it was just extremely tacky and not very authentic.
It's so...
Now, a big part of this park was the
I don't even know.
of different locations around the world. You had a Dutch windmill,
Yeah.
you had an Egyptian-style pyramid,
You have an Egyptian pyramid with Asian eyes on the pharaohs.
And
Alright.
speaking of Egypt, you also had what is supposed to be the Sphinx, but it looks more like a White Castle that was run by clowns. I don't know, I got nothing. Also, there was a miniature of the Great Wall of China, which kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of how when Disney's California Adventure first opened, people were saying how it was kind of dumb to have miniatures of California landmarks in
Yeah,
a theme park in California.
He's right.
Beyond just having replicas and
He's right.
international food stores, this
What
park
is that
actually has
yellow
coaster rides too. Now, apparently
eyesore?
the park installed these rides in 2009, so a few years after it opened. And for the most part, none of them are really that remarkable, just some generic amusement rides. I mean, you had a sky ride that gave you a view of the park, you had a drop tower, a swing ride, and you had a few roller coasters. But one
Unless I was like really not caring about myself that day, I would never get on a fucking single coaster in China. I have seen how lax Chinese manufacturing is on safety. Like, there are untold numbers of videos out there on the internet of like entire squads of people getting electrocuted carrying like metal plates and shit just because they're exposed wires that are like by like puddles, and everyone gets like electric. It's ridiculous. No fucking way, unless I'm like really really depressed one day and fuck it, let's get on the whatever roller coaster. No way.
stands out. Now, another one of the park's replicas was a miniature version of the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro,
Yeah,
Brazil.
Rio.
However, what made this one stand out is the fact that they built a roller coaster around it.
Hell
I
yeah.
actually remember
They should do that in
posting
Rio.
about this coaster a few years ago from YouTuber Coaster College's video about
I'm pretty sure Christ the Redeemer statue doesn't spin around either like that, but it should. And confetti should pop out of his head. Get some spotlights. Confetti every 30 minutes.
top 10 strange and unique Chinese rides. Now, it was there that I learned that the enthusiast community, like the really internet-heavy section of the community, like myself, refers to this ride as the Spinning Jesus Coaster, which is just awesome. At first, I was totally confused about this coaster, but now that I know that the Spinning Jesus statue wasn't originally made with this coaster in mind, it does make a lot more sense. Still, though, it is a very unusual sight seeing a statue of Jesus being the centerpiece of a roller coaster.
They should make him
That
spin
said,
around
there are a
really
couple of
quick.
Other things about this park that were even more unusual
No, this looks like some shit that I would build in like Planet Coaster. That's what this looks like.
than just the fact that it had a roller coaster circling a statue of Jesus. And I guess I should start with the Porcelain Palace. Now, this was a large public restroom, and when I say large, I mean large enough that Chinese authorities